last class notes. I tried, you know, many times to send the notes, but I don't know what was went wrong. Uh, the file was not accepting to upload, so I sent it in a PJ format. That is, in the notes which I've sent in the morning. It is in continuation of the previous one about the marketing management. So today we'll discuss about the financial management. So we know what is management. So management means manage the man tactfully. And management in general, it is the process of planning, then organizing the things, then staffing, giving directions, coordinating and controlling the resources, available resources to achieve the goal of an organization. So the management has different functions, different departments. We have financial management, human resource management, production management, marketing management, strategic management. So there are various management functions depending on the size of the organization, depending on the types of organization. They have different various departments. For a small organization, it can be clubbed into one, but for a big organization, it has various departments. So today we'll discuss on the financial management. Meaning of financial management. Financial management means planning, organizing, directing, and controlling the financial activities such as procurement and utilization of funds of the enterprise. So, financial management means it is the planning. So, how much is required? Say, if the company is thinking of expansion of their business, then they may do a planning activities. How much individuals will be required to for them? How much amount we are going to invest on that? Then for certain employee amount of employees, how much they are going to spend on that. Then for constructing a building for the expansion of their business, how much they are going to uh, invest on it. So they have to do a planning activities, then they will organize it, then supporting, giving directions, motivation uh, through their resources, human resources. They will direct directions to their support human resources, and they will recruit the human resources available and which are going to be used for the expanded business, and controlling the financial activities like in the procurement and utilization of funds. So financial management, it is for the procurement of funds, from where we'll get resources, financial resources. Okay, whether they have to issue shares or they in the form of debentures, in the form of bonds. There are certain things. There are many sources of capital, sources of funds. So they will go for planning from where they would go for it. Then and how the fund will be utilized, in what way it is. So financial management is the planning, organizing, directing, and controlling the financial activities, procurement and utilization of funds. It means applying general management principles to financial resources of the enterprise. Let's see the scope of financial management. So, first, investment decision. Second, financial decisions. Third, dividend decision. So, in investment decision, it includes investment in fixed assets, Investment in fixed assets is called capital budgeting. So the term capital budgeting is used if the decisions on investment or financial is in fixed assets. Say if they have to procure fixed assets, machines, buildings, land, land and building, plants, machinery, they are all fixed assets. So if they are going to invest on that, so that is decisions taken on the investment or fixed assets, that is called capital budgeting. And investment in current assets are also part of investment decision called as working capital decision. So working capital decisions is the investment decisions in current assets. Current assets is, you know any assets that can be converted to cash within the year. Say if you have gold in your hand, and if you require money cash, then you can go in the market or asking someone that you can exchange, or you can get in form of cash. So it converting the gold into cash, this is current assets. Means any kind of assets that can be converted into cash within a year, so we are which are not taking long term. So this is a part of investment. So this kind of investment in current assets is called the working capital investment. So this is the decisions taken on investing in current assets are called working capital decisions. Capital budgeting is the investment decisions taken on the investment in fixed assets. And for current assets, it is called working capital decisions. Then financial decisions, they relate to the raising of finance from various resources. It is raising finance from various resources, which will depend upon decision on type of source, period of financing, cost of financing, and the returns thereby. When we say financial decision, it means raising the finance of the corporates or the organization, uh, procuring from various resources. It depends on the type of sources of finance, then the period of financing, how long it will be, taken, then cost of financing and returns there, how much returns are expected. So depending on the type of source, period of financing, cost of financing, and the returns, financial decisions have to be taken care of. So it is the financial decision is related to the raising of finance from various resources. Then dividend decision. So financial management is applicable in every decisions which is related to financial activities. So the third one will be dividend decision. So dividend decision. The financial manager has to take decision with regards to net profit distribution. So in the organization, the financial manager, he has to decide, okay, if the company is earning profit, then how much amount is going to be distributed to the shareholders. Okay, according to the net profit they get, they received on a particular year, the financial manager has to decide how much amount is going to distribute to the Jesse, please come charge already to the net profit. So net profits are generally divided into two: dividend for shareholders, then retained profits. So net profits is divided into dividend for shareholders, retained earnings. For dividend for shareholders, dividend and the rate of it has to be decided. So the financial manager has to take the decisions on the profit they received on a particular year. So what are the net profits are divided into two: dividend for shareholders and retained profit. So dividend for shareholders, when the company is when a company started earning profit, they when they earn profit in a particular year, the some amount profit will be shared to the shareholders. Some percentage, some amount will be shared to the distributed to the shareholders. Some percentage of uh, profit will be shared to the shareholders. So the dividend and the rate has to be decided by the financial managers how much we should distribute it to the shareholders. If the if they are earning a high profit, then depending on the amounts available, they will decide how much will be distributed, and that will be taken by the financial manager. Then retained profit. So amount of retained profit has to be finalized, which will depend upon expansion and diversification plans of the enterprise. So when a company start a business and they started earning profits for a particular year, the financial manager has to decide how much amount is to be distributed, and the rate of the profit to be distributed has to be decided by the financial managers. And second thing, retain profits. So whatever amounts they have earned, it is not going to be invested everything they have earned. Okay, so some amount will be kept for future use, maybe for expansion or maybe for diversification, or some amount will be invested in the current business. Okay, and some amount will be distributed as a dividend to the shareholders. So these kind of financial decisions will be taken by the financial manager. So the financial management is, this is the planning, organizing, directing, and controlling all the financial related activities. So these kind of financial related activities, are taken care of by the financial managers. They will decide on the dividend decisions. Okay, then on regarding the scope of the financial management, first we have investment decisions. So whether they are investing in fixed asset, that is called capital budgeting, and if they are investing in current assets, that is called working capital decisions. So then financial decision. So depending on the various types or various resources available for the finance, they have to take taken care of raising of their finances. And dividend decisions, maybe dividend for shareholders and for retained profits. Then objectives of financial management. So let's see what are the objectives of financial management. The financial management is generally concerned with procurement, allocation, and control of financial resources of a concern. So financial management, we know it is all management of resources related to finance. So if it is concerned with procurement, allocation, and control of financial resources of a concern. Let's see what are the objectives. Number one, to ensure regular and adequate supply of funds to the concern. So the objectives of financial management is to make sure that the company, the organization, or the concern get regular and adequate supply of funds for running the business smoothly. Two, to ensure adequate returns to the shareholder, which will depend upon the earning capacity, market price of the share, expectations of the shareholders. So, in the second objective, it is to make sure that the shareholders, the company shareholders, say if you are investing in a mutual fund, maybe 10,000, 20,000, 5,000, whatever the amounts you have invested in a particular company, you become a shareholders. So in order to make sure that the adequate amount of returns, good returns, is to be received by the shareholders, it is depend on the earning capacity, then market price. You have to see the market price of the share, then expectations of the shareholder. So in order to make sure that they have that receive adequate amount of returns, well, depending on, it may be depend on the market price, market share, then expectation. We have to make sure that they receive adequate amount of funds returns. Then third, to ensure optimum funds utilization. And third, to ensure optimum fund utilization. Once the funds are procured, they should be utilized in maximum possible way at least cost. Say, say from planning everything, they will acquire funds from various sources, maybe by issuing shares or by taking loans or by issuing debentures or bonds, from many sources they will acquire funds for the smooth functioning of the business. So to ensure optimum fund utilizations, uh, it is the financial management has a great role to be played. Okay, so once the funds are received, it should be utilized in the best possible way at the minimum cost. So if the cost of production is high, then one cannot sell the product at a minimum cost. So what the production department is doing, that when they manufacture the product, they try to produce the product at a minimum cost with minimum expenditure, so that they can sell the product at a acceptable or reasonable price. So if the cost of production is high, then they cannot sell the product and they cannot get much profit that they are expecting. So the objective for financial management is to make sure that the funds are utilized in the best possible way with minimum cost. Fourth, to ensure safety on investment. That is, funds should be invested in safe ventures so that adequate rate of return can be achieved. So it is to have a safe investment. Okay. So whatever amount we have invested, we should get adequate good returns on the investment we have made. Say we have heard that investment in mutual fund, it is subject to market risk. You must have seen in TV ads. Yes, there is a risk, but we are expecting good returns depending on the market. So, and we before we invested, we some investors have to look for the performance of various companies, okay, past record. Then we discussed with the experienced person, so that we can get a good returns, so that we our investment is safe. So objectives of financial management is to make sure safety on investment. And the last one, to plan a sound capital structure. Planning a sound capital structure, there should be sound and fair composition of capital so that a balance is maintained between debt and equity capital. Debt and equity capital. It is equity capital is the owner's capital, and debt borrowed from outsiders. Okay. Say if you are thinking of starting your business, say fast food, small example, fast food, you have a certain amount of money, 1 or 2 lakhs. So this won't be sufficient for running the business smoothly. So you borrowed 2 or 3 lakhs from banks. So this has become debt and equity capital. So there should be fair composition of capital, debt and equity capital. If debt is more, then you have to work hard and you should try to earn more, and you should get a profit so that you can uh, give the interest or the whatever which is supposed to be repaid to the bank. Okay, just what it means that there should be a proper proportion of the capital. Then functions of financial management. Let's see what are the functions of financial management. First, estimation. estimation of capital requirement. A finance manager has to make estimation with regards to capital requirements of the company. So this become the role of finance manager. He has to make the estimate about the capital requirements of the company. This will depend upon expected cost and profits and future programs and policies of a concern. Estimation have to be made in an adequate manner which increases earning capacity of enterprise. The financial manager, he has to estimate the how much amount will be required for the expansion, for the diversification, for new development, whatever the any activities which is related to financial matters, financial manager has to make an estimate. It depends on the cost and profit future programs of a policies of a concern. So each this is the estimation of capital requirements. So this is number one function of financial management. Then second, determination of capital composition. We have to determine the capital composition. Okay, debt से कितना लेंगे means from outside how much will be taken. Okay, and then honest का कितना है. We have to determine the capital composition. Once the estimation has been made, the capital structure has to be decided. This involves short-term and long-term debt equity analysis. So we have to do the financial manager has to do analysis about the short-term and long-term debt equity. This will depend upon the proportion of equity capital a company is possessing and additional funds which have to be raised from outside parties. So this determination of capital composition, if the owners has certain amount of lump sum of money, and for the smooth functioning and for proper functioning of the business, the finance manager has to decide how much amount should be taken from the outsiders. So if excess amount is taken, then the problem will be faced by the company. So if they are not cannot repay the money, then this will bankrupt the company. They have to decide, they have to determine how much should be taken from the outside parties. Then third, choice of sources of funds. For additional funds to be procured, a company has many choices like issue of shares and debentures. So from where should we get fund to for additional funds to be procured, company has to make choice of whether shares or debentures issue, whether they have to issue we have to issue shares or debentures, whether they should take loans from banks and financial institutions or from public deposits to be drawn like in form of bonds. So for getting additional funds, the company has many choices. Whether they can think of issuing shares and debentures, okay, or whether they can take loans from financial institutions, from banks and financial institutions, or they can issue or they can ask public to in the form of bonds. It is like a debentures, okay, but so it is public deposits in the form of bonds. So choice of factor will depend on relative merits and demerits of its source and period of financing. Fourth, investment of funds. The finance manager has to decide to allocate funds into profitable managers so that there is safety on investment and regular returns is possible. So the functions of financial management is the now come the investment of funds. He has to decide where to allocate funds, wherever the ventures or the funds or the activities or the expansion which is profitable, then they will invest on that. And if the minimal amount of investment is required, then they will decide it, they will plan it, they will estimate it, and depending on the requirements they will invest on that part. And they will see that where or how the ventures will be profitable, and it should be safety on investment, and they get good return, regular returns. So this is the function of financial manager. He has to decide, he has to take decisions properly with care, because it is all about the finance. Then disposal of surplus. The net profit decisions have to be made by the finance manager. So the net profit decisions have to be made by the finance manager. This can be done in two ways. A, dividend declaration. B, retained profits. So the surplus, the profit, when in a particular year, if a company, when a company earning profit, so they cannot keep the profit. Okay, so it has to be mobilized. Okay, so some of the earnings will be kept in the form of retained profits, and some of the profit will be shared to the shareholders or distributed to the shareholders in the form of dividend. So it includes identifying the rate of dividends and other benefits like bonus. So finance manager will decide means rate of dividends, how much they will distribute to the shareholders, and bonus, everything will be decided by the finance manager. And we cannot invest all the money that we get. Whatever the profits, they cannot it cannot be invested. Okay, all the money cannot be invested. Say, if your when your parents give you say 10,000, okay, for your hostel, uh, for daily use, no, you cannot. If you use everything, 10,000 for a week or for 10 days, what will you do? What will you feel? So you will get scared, from where I will get money, extra money. Okay, say when you need money, then you will ask someone, or you will ask your parents. Well, you're facing a problem. So same thing, company, whatever the earnings they have made for a particular year, they cannot uh, invest in their in the business. So some will be kept for future use, some will be distributed to shareholders, and some amount will be for the this one for their business. So for retained profits, whatever the amounts they have kept, it has to be decided whether they will be invested for expansion, for innovation, or for diversification of the company. Then sixth, management of cash. Finance manager has to make decisions with regards to cash management. So cash management may be finance manager are taking a big role. So cash is required for many purposes like payment of wages and salaries, payment of electricity and water bills, payment to creditors, meeting current liabilities, maintenance of enough stock, purchase of raw materials, etc. Okay, so it's required for many purposes. So we salaries भी देना पड़ेगा. Then we have to pay bill, electricity, water bills, then creditors, then current liabilities, which is borrowed from others, and it has to be repaid within a year. Then maintenance, so stock maintenance, for stock maintenance, then purchase of raw materials. So for many purposes, cash is required. So finance manager has to make a proper decisions with regards to cash management. So today we'll discuss only this part, and tomorrow we'll discuss about the sources of finances. Yes, if you have any queries, please, and if you want to ask anything, please come forward. Anyone? Anyway, if you are not, if you don't have any problem, then I'll take your attendance. Civil, roll number one,
Yes, ma'am.
two, three, four, five, six, seven,
Present,
eight,
ma'am.
Present, ma'am. At present, ma'am.
eight presents.
7
Yeah.
present, ma'am.
Okay, okay. Nine, 10,